So let's look at example number 1 here. We've got basically two triangles that are next door to each other. So I'm just going to go over these so that you can see them clearly. So we've got this triangle here, and we've got another triangle to the side of it. So we know that in each of those triangles, the angles are going to sum to 180. Okay, so in the green triangle, first of all, we have an angle of 112, we have an angle of 29, and we need to find out A. So, like all our workings previously, last week, we're going to add together what we've got, which is 112 and 29. Add these together and see what we get. 9 plus 2 is 11, 2 plus 1 is 3, plus another 1 is 4, and 1 plus 0 is 1. It's got 141. That's clearly not A though. I've got to subtract 180. Got to subtract it from 180. So subtract 141 from 180. And can't do 0 take away 1 in this situation, so I'm going to borrow from the tens column. 10 take away 1 is 9, 7 take away 4 is 3, and 1 take away 1 is 0. So A is 39. I just want to point out to you this little note here that says not to scale, okay? If you ever see that on a picture in a test or exam, that basically means you cannot put your protractor on this diagram and hope to get the answer, okay? If you put your protractor on here, it would not measure 39 probably, okay? So this is just a sketch, and the angles are not accurate, okay? So you've got to use your angle facts of 180 and show some additions and subtractions to show what the angle is. So even though it might not look 39, you have to rely on your arithmetic here to show that it is. Okay. And again, you could check your answer by doing 39 plus 112 plus 29, seeing if it adds up to 180. Okay, how are we going to work out B? Well, B is sitting on a straight line with 112, so all that requires is to do 180, take away 112, and we get, well, 0 take away 2 I can't do, 10 take away 2 is 8, 7 take away 1 is 6, and 1 take away 1 is nothing, so B is 68 degrees. 68. C. Well, C is sitting in the right angle here with angle 29. So to find out C, all I've got to do is 90 take away 29. So 0 take away 9 I can't do in this situation, so I'm borrowing from here. And I get 10 take away 9 is 1, 8 take away 2 is 6. Does that look reasonable for the angle? Yeah, it's acute. So I reckon C is 61 degrees. And finally D, well D, all the angles in the yellow triangle sum to 180. So I'm going to add together what I know, which is B and C. So add together B and C as follows. So adding together B, which is 68, and C, which is 61. Adding these together, 8 and 1 is 9, 6 and 6 is 12, so 129. But then I have to subtract from 180 to get my value for D. So 0 take away 9 I can't do here, so I'm going to borrow from the tens column, and I get 7 left there. 10 take away 9 is 1, 7 take away 2 is 5, and 1 take away 1 is nothing, so 51. That looks reasonable for D. 51 degrees. Okay, that's example 1. Let's have a look at another example. Okay, we've got a triangle and one side is kind of extended here to create a straight line going on here. So A is sitting on a straight line with 158, so to find out A, all I'm going to have to do is 180 take away 158. 0 take away 8 I can't do here, so I'm going to borrow from here. 10 take away 8 is 2, 7 take away 5 is 2, and 1 take away 1 is nothing, so 22 degrees. And you might think, oh, well, A doesn't look like 22 degrees, but remember, it is not to scale, okay? So, yeah, it looks a bit bigger than 22 degrees, but we have shown that 180 take away 158 is 22, so we have to go with A being 22. Okay, we have an isosceles triangle going on here. So B and C are going to be equal. So I'm going to do 180, take away my A, but in actual fact I can save myself some work. Instead of doing 180 take away 158, I've actually already kind of done that over here. So if 180 take away 158 is 22, then 180 take away 22 is going to be 158. So my B and C are actually just going to be 158 divided by 2. So let's do that in a bus stop. So 2 into 1 doesn't go. 2 into 15, because I'm carrying that 1 forward, is 7. Remainder 1. And 2's into 18 go 9 times. So I've got 79 degrees there. So each of B and C are 79 degrees. And again, you could add those up and check that those add up to 180. Example 3. We've got two triangles going on here, again next door to each other. Let's take this triangle first, so the yellow triangle. Now I need to work out A. Well, A is going to be 180, take away the sum of those other two angles. So I'm just going to do 40 plus 30 in my head. This is for the yellow triangle. 40 plus 30 is 70. And then I'm going to do 180, take away that 70, which leaves me with A being 110. So A is 110. A is 110 degrees. Okay, B, well, B is sitting in a full turn with angles A and 120. You can see here that it is a full turn, okay? So I've got A is 110, and I've got the fact that there's an angle there of 120. So to get B, I'm just going to do angle A plus the 120 degrees there. And again, these are quite friendly numbers, so you could do these in your head. 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 1 is 3, 1 plus 1 is 2, 230. And then I'm going to subtract from 360, because we've just shown that that is in a full turn. So subtract that from 360. And again, you could do this in your head because it's quite nice. 0 take away 0 is 0, 6 take away 3 is 3, and 3 take away 2 is 1. Okay, so we've got the angle B is 130. And just spotted that we actually have an isosceles triangle in this next situation. So here, triangle, the green triangle that I'm highlighting now is an isosceles triangle. How do I know that? Because we've got these two markings here, which you might miss if you don't look carefully. So those two markings indicate this is an isosceles triangle, therefore C and D are equal. Okay, so if those two are equal, I'm just going to do my 180 take away my angle B, which we just found is 130. And again, you could do this one in your head. Take away 130, and it's going to leave me with 50. And then I'm just going to split that directly in two, because C and D are both precisely equal. And 50 divided by 2, we can do that in our heads, is 25 degrees. So C and D are both 25 degrees. Okay. Example 4. A square tile has a design containing an equilateral triangle. Work out the sizes of angle X and Y. Okay, I think some things are important in that sentence. Okay, a square tile and an equilateral triangle. Okay, work out the sizes of angles X and Y. So starting off with X, well, in a right angle triangle, I know that this corner angle, sorry, not in a right angle triangle, in a square, I know that this corner here is a right angle. So I've just put a little right angle there in the corner, okay? So that is a right angle there. That means that 10 and this little angle in the middle here and x must all equal 90. Okay, but what is this angle in the middle? Well, we're told in the question that it is an equilateral triangle. So therefore this angle here must be 60. How have I got that? I've done 180 divided by 3. So, because they're all equal angles. So angles in an equilateral triangle are all each 60 degrees. So I've got an angle of 10 degrees here, 60 degrees here, and then x must make it up to this right angle because it's the corner of the square. So 60 plus 10 is 70, therefore x must be 20 degrees to make it up to a right angle. And y, to get y, I've got a triangle going on here with y, x, and this right angle. So those three angles form that triangle. So I've got x is 20, I've got that's a right angle, so 20 plus 90 gives me 110, and then I'm going to do 180, take away that 110 to leave me with y. So I'll just show that. I'm going to add together my 90 degrees from my right angle, 90 degrees from my right angle, and my x angle, which is 20. Adding those together, I get 110, and then I'm going to subtract that from 180 to give me my angle y. And again, these are quite friendly numbers, so you could do these ones in your head. So y is 70 degrees. And again, you could always check your answer by putting these back in and seeing if you get them to add up to 180. Okay, example 5. Again, we have two triangles next door to each other here, but this one is an isosceles triangle, so let's look out for that one. So we're starting off with A, and in fact, because this is an isosceles triangle here, I know that A and B are actually going to be equal. Okay, so I'm going to use what I've got, which is 34. I'm going to subtract 34 from 180. And let's see what we get. Well, 0 take away 4 I can't do in this situation, so I'm going to borrow from here. 10 take away 4 is 6. 7 take away 3 is 4. And 1 take away an invisible 0 there is 1. So 146. So A and B both add up to 146, but they're equal. So I can simply do a bus stop division, divide 146 by 2, and I get, well, 2's into 1 don't go, 2's into 14 goes 7 times, and 2's into 6 go 3 times. So A and B are both 73. Okay, and then how do I work out C? Well, C is sitting in another triangle over here with 82 and 39. So I'm going to add together my 82 and my 39 and then subtract from 180. So let's see what we get there. So add those two together. 9 plus 2 is 11 and 8 plus 3 is 11 plus that one is 12. And then I'm going to subtract from 180. Take away 1, 2, 1. 0 take away 1 I can't do. Borrow from here. 10 take away 1 is 9. And 7 take away 2 is 5. 1 take away 1 is nothing. So C is 59 degrees. Does it look reasonable? Yeah, it looks reasonable. It's an acute angle. It's not to scale, but it gives us a vague idea that that one would be in that region. Okay, and example 6. Oh, we've got an interesting situation here. We've got a straight line by the look of it along the bottom, and we've got an angle that is x plus 10, x plus 20, and x. And we need to find out the value of x here. Okay, we need to find the value of x. So this sounds to me like if we're trying to find x at the end, what x equals, that looks like we're going to have to solve some kind of equation. And this is called forming and solving an equation. So we know that x plus 10 and x plus 20 and x, well, what do they all sum to? We know that angles on a straight line sum to 180. So all of these must also add up to 180. Okay, so I can, apologies, that's an x. I can actually write an equation to show that this adds up to 180. Okay, so all of this equals 180, and this is a critical bit here where you're putting it equal to 180. Okay, the next step of my working is collecting my like terms. So just like we did in the starter, I want to collect together my x's. Now that is an invisible plus x. Remember, if it hasn't got a minus in front of it, it's a plus. So plus x plus another x makes 2x, plus another x makes 3x. Okay, so that is 3x. And let's now check out our numbers. We've got plus 10 plus 20, so that altogether makes plus 30, is all equal to 180. And then this is just a nice little equation that we've got to solve. So we want to find out x on its own, so I'm going to get rid of everything that's not that x, so I'm going to take away 30 from both sides, take away 30, I'm left with 150 on this side, and I'm left with 3x on this side. And how do I get from 3x down to x? Well, I have to divide by 3 on both sides. Divide by 3, and if I do 150 divided by 3, well, I know that 15 divided by 3 is 5, so I think 150 divided by 3 is going to be 50. So x is equal to 50. Okay, and that is my final answer there. X is equal to 50 degrees. Okay, very similar situation in example 7, except this time, well, what are they going to sum to? We've got x plus 2x plus 3x plus 10. And what do they add up to? Well, we've got angles in a full turn here, so they are going to sum to 360. Okay, so these add up to 360. Just going to move these over a little bit to give myself some more room. So they're all going to add up to 360. So put them equal to 360. And then we're going to collect our like terms. So we're going to collect together our x's. So we've got positive x here. So positive 1x, positive 2x, positive 3x, and then some numbers. So 3, 4, 5, we've got 6x, 6 x's, and we've got some numbers over here. So we've got positive 10 and another 10, and another 110, which together make 120. And all that is equal to 360. Okay, and then again it just becomes a nice little equation that we can solve. So how do I get x on its own? I'm going to get rid of everything that's not the x. So I'm going to subtract 120 from there, and I'm going to subtract 120 from there. And I get, on my right hand side, I get 240. And on my left hand side, I'm just left with my 6x. And then how do I get from 6x down to my x? I have to divide through by 6. Well, on the right hand side, I know that 24 divided by 6 is 4. So therefore, 240 divided by 6 is 40. So x is 40 degrees. And the final example, again, very similar, but this time we've got a triangle. I'm going to have to probably be careful of some negatives here. So what do they all add up to? Well, we know that angles in a triangle sum to 180. So I'm just going to put all my letters and numbers down here. So I've got 4x minus 10 plus 2x minus 10 plus 50 is all equal to 180. So what am I going to do? I'm going to collect my like terms. So I'm going to collect together my x's. This is positive 4x. How do I know? Because it doesn't have a negative sign in front of it, so it's positive 4x. This is positive 2x because that plus is with that 2x. So together that makes 6 x's. Okay, 6 x's. And then bringing together my numbers, well, I've got minus 10 because that minus is with that 10, that minus is with that 10, and that positive is, or that plus is with that 50. So I've got minus 10, minus 20, but then I'm adding a 50 back on, and that gives me positive 30. Okay, is all equal to 180. And again, we've just got a nice little equation we can solve, and I want to end up with x is equal to, if we're solving an equation, this is what I want to find. So I'm going to undo everything that's getting in the way of that. So take away 30 on both sides. I'm left with 150 on this side, and I'm left with 6x on this side. How do I get from 6x down to x? I'm going to divide by 6, and whatever I do to one side I must do to the other, so I'm dividing by 6 on this side. That's just a little bus stop for that. So 6's into 150. Well, 6's into 15, sorry, 6's into 1, don't go. 6's into 15, go twice, remainder 3. And 6's into 30, go 5 times. So x is 25 in that situation. And it's really good if you show the examiner or person who's marking your work all these steps. Show that you know that you need to form an equation that adds up to 180. Show that you've collected your like terms. Show your balancing method and your equal signs all in line. See how I've got my equal signs all in line there. And show that you are ending up with your answer x and how you've done it.